Rudeus Greyrat spent his second life trying to build the family he never had. He crossed continents, fought world powers, and changed the future itself. But his greatest achievement was far more ordinary. He became a husband, a father, and the center of a home filled with 6 very different children. But after the main story ends, those children inherit more than the Greyrat name. One is tied to a prophecy that could decide Hitagami's fate. One rises to become a world power. One carries Rudeus's inventions into the next generation. And one becomes the center of the most controversial after-story in the entire franchise. So what actually happens to Lucy, Lara, Ars, SieGhart, Lily, and Christina? And more importantly, which of them represents Rudeus's true legacy? This video contains major spoilers for the light novels, redundant reincarnation, and jobless oblige. With that warning out of the way, let's begin with the first child born into the family Rudeus fought so hard to protect. Lucy Greyrat is the eldest child of Rudeus and Sylphiette, and that position quietly shapes almost everything about her. She is not introduced as a chosen savior or an overwhelming prodigy. Instead, Lucy grows up as the first child inside a household already surrounded by extraordinary people, powerful allies, and expectations she never personally asked for. For Lucy, the Greyrat name is not a superpower, it is pressure. Her father is a legendary magician connected to Orsted. Her mothers are exceptional in their own ways. Even the adults who casually visit her home include kings, warriors, demons, and figures who can alter the political balance of entire nations. In that environment, simply being normal can feel like failure. Her relationship with Rudeus is also more complicated than simple admiration. Rudeus loves his children, but he is still carrying the emotional habits of a man who spent his first life isolated from other people. He can be protective, awkward, absent, or unsure of what his children need from him. Lucy does not always understand that silence. At times, she reads distance where Rudeus believes he is showing restraint. That is what makes Lucy's story meaningful. She does not defeat a god or inherit a legendary technique. Her growth comes from gradually understanding that imperfect love is still love. As she matures, builds a life of her own, and eventually moves toward marriage with Clive, Lucy stops measuring her value against the impossible scale surrounding her family. Lucy inherits neither Rudeus's greatest magic nor Sylphiette's role in history. What she inherits is the most human part of their story, the difficult work of building trust inside a family whose members do not always know how to express what they feel. If Lucy represents the ordinary emotional weight of the Greyrat family, Lara represents something much larger. Lara is the daughter of Rudeus and Roxy, and her existence is connected to one of the most important unresolved threads in Mushoku Tensei, the eventual defeat of Hitagami. Hitagami once tried to manipulate events so that Roxy would die before Lara could be born. That alone reveals how dangerous Lara's future may be to him. Rudeus's vision of the future also places Lara beside Orsted and another key figure during the confrontation that could finally reach Hitagami's domain. Yet Lara does not behave like a traditional chosen hero. She is quiet, strange, playful, and often appears far less motivated than the people around her. That contrast is exactly what makes her fascinating. The character carrying one of the greatest destinies in the series does not announce herself with a sword, a speech, or an obvious hunger for glory. Her bond with the sacred beast Leo reinforces that importance. Leo is not simply a family pet. He is a guardian linked to powerful fate, and his attachment to Lara suggests that the future is already gathering around her long before she is ready to explain it to anyone else. Eventually, Lara leaves home on a journey of her own. This is not a betrayal of Rudeus, and it is not proof that her lazy personality was an elaborate disguise. It is something more bittersweet. Rudeus built a safe home so his children would never experience the loneliness that destroyed his first life. But Lara's purpose requires her to leave that safety behind. Lara may ultimately become the most important of all 6 children, but her story remains deliberately unfinished. We know the direction of her destiny. We do not yet know every step she will take to reach it. And that uncertainty is part of what makes her future so powerful. Greyrat is the son of Rudeus and Eris, and from the beginning, he appears to have everything required to become a conventional hero. He inherits physical talent, grows up surrounded by powerful teachers, and carries the blood of 2 people who repeatedly survived situations that should have killed them. But R's defining conflict is not a lack of strength, it is a lack of maturity. Like Rudeus in his worst moments, Rs can act before fully understanding the consequences. That weakness becomes central to the relationship between Rs and Aisha, the most controversial post-story material in Mushoku Tensei. This part needs an important publication note. The original web novel chapters about Rs and Aisha were deleted in 2016. The core storyline later returned in the officially published Redundant Reincarnation Volume 3, with revisions and a different framing. So when fans discuss this arc, they are often mixing details from 2 versions that are not completely identical. What remains consistent is that their relationship tears open a serious conflict inside the Greyrat family. Rs and Aisha leave together. Rudeus is forced to confront a situation he never imagined facing as a father, and the family must deal with questions of responsibility, boundaries, loyalty, and forgiveness. For an English-speaking audience, it is tempting to reduce the entire arc to one explosive label. But doing that removes the most relevant character parallel. Rudeus once believed that starting another life would automatically make him a better person. It did not. He still had to confront his behavior, accept consequences, and change. Rs faces a similar truth. Talent and good intentions do not erase the damage caused by immature choices. Rs does not become interesting because he is Rudeus's strongest possible successor. He becomes interesting because his mistakes force Rudeus to experience parenthood from the opposite side. The man who once needed endless second chances must decide how much forgiveness he can offer his own son, and what responsibility must come with it. SieGhart Saladin Greyrat, the son of Rudeus and Sylphiette, is probably the child who most clearly looks like a future legend. He is born with green hair connected to the Laplace factor, possesses extraordinary physical ability, and eventually reaches a level of strength that places him among the major powers of the world. But Jobless Oblige does not begin with Sieg confidently marching toward that destiny. It begins with a young man who has power, education, connections, and absolutely no clear idea what he wants to do with any of them. In a family where everyone seems to have a role, Sieg struggles with the embarrassing possibility that he may not have one. That makes his story surprisingly relatable. Sieg is not primarily fighting prejudice or a secret Hitogami operation. He is fighting indecision. Should he serve the Asura kingdom? Should he follow the path expected of a Greyrat? Should he remain close to the family that can solve almost any problem for him? Or should he choose a future that belongs to him alone? His friendship with Pax Jr. becomes the answer. Sieg's decision to support Pax is not the obvious safe choice, and it does not guarantee comfort or recognition. It gives his overwhelming strength a purpose that he personally selected. That choice eventually leads him toward the identity of the Death God Knight and a position among the 7 great powers. Sieg may become one of Rudeus's most powerful descendants, but raw strength is not the point of his arc. His real victory is finding something worth using that strength for. Rudeus gave him protection, training, and opportunity. Sieg still had to choose his own loyalty. Lily Greyrat, the second daughter of Rudeus and Roxy, receives less direct narrative attention than Lara or SieGhart, but the future attached to her name reveals something important. Lily continues the development of the magic armor and eventually completes a general-purpose model. That achievement matters because the original magic armor was built around Rudeus's unusual body, enormous mana capacity, and desperate need to survive enemies far stronger than himself. It was a personal solution to a personal limitation. Lily's contribution pushes that idea towards something other people can potentially use. We know more about what Lily eventually creates than about every emotional step that takes her there. So it would be dishonest to invent a tragic life of isolation around her. What the existing material does support is a clear form of inheritance. Lily receives Rudeus's curiosity, the instinct to solve a problem by building something the world has never seen before. Rudeus changed history through battle, alliances, and knowledge from another world. Lily's legacy suggests that his influence does not end with his personal victories. His ideas become technology. Technology can be repeated, and once an invention no longer depends on the person who created it, it can reshape the world long after that person is gone. Christina Greyrat is the daughter of Rudeus and Eris, and she may be the easiest child to underestimate. She is not tied to the prophecy surrounding Lara. She does not possess SieGhart's future status as a world power, and she is not primarily remembered for a revolutionary invention like Lily. In another family, Christina would still be exceptional. Inside the Greyrat household, however, exceptional becomes the minimum. That environment creates a different kind of insecurity. How do you prove your value when the people sitting beside you at dinner may one day influence the fate of the entire world? Christina's path turns toward aristocratic society, education, relationships, and political life. That may sound less dramatic than fighting dragons or becoming one of the 7 great powers, but Mushoku Tensei repeatedly shows that nations are not controlled by strength alone. Reputation, marriage, trust, and social intelligence can move people in ways magic cannot. This is why Christina should not be rewritten as the victim of an invented assassination conspiracy. Her value is already present in the contrast. She represents the part of the Greyrat legacy that can exist without overwhelming mana, prophecy, or divine-level combat ability. She learns to operate inside the human systems that her stronger relatives often stand outside of. Among 6 children connected to legends, Christina's strength is her ability to live in the ordinary world. And in a family defined by monsters, heroes, and chosen destinies, being able to understand ordinary people may be one of the rarest abilities of all. When people talk about Rudeus Greyrat's legacy, the first things that come to mind are usually his magic, his alliance with Orsted, and the role he played in changing the future. But his 6 children reveal a more complicated answer. Lucy inherits the emotional burden of being first. Lara inherits a destiny connected to the world's final conflict. Ars inherits the need to face consequences and grow beyond immaturity. SieGhart inherits power but must choose his own purpose. Lily inherits Rudeus's instinct to invent. Christina inherits the challenge of proving that value does not always need to look extraordinary. None of them becomes a simple copy of their father. That may be the clearest proof that Rudeus succeeded. He did not create 6 replacements for himself. He created a home safe enough for 6 different people to become themselves, even when their choices confused him, frightened him, or carried them far beyond his reach. So which child represents Rudeus's true legacy? Is it Lara, whose future may decide Hitogami's fate? SieGhart, who becomes one of the world's great powers? Lily, whose inventions can outlive the entire family? Or Lucy and Christina, who prove that a meaningful life does not require a prophecy at all? Let me know your answer in the comments, and if you want a separate breakdown of the Ars and Aisha storyline, including what changed between the deleted web novel version and the officially published rewrite, That story deserves an entire video of its own.